What's up, everyone in the Chibi world? This is Chibi No Podcast coming to you with a new video about My Hero Academia, the movie Two Heroes. And you have the same three people that are always on. You have me, David the Smash Fan.
Mr. Worldwide, Mr. Copyright.
And Miles, your tech guy. What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Are you?
Hope you're liking what we do. We're always hoping for the best. And as we said, we're talking about My Hero Academia, Two Heroes. There's a theatrical run that's actually still going because of how popular it's been in the States. I think in its opening few days, like 2-3 days, it made about $2 million in the selected theaters that it
And it's
came
not
into.
like there were only like 2 showings a day, right?
Something like that.
So
Didn't they
that's
make like 15 million sales or something like that?
As of right now, well, the last
That's
number
like the
that I saw was
entirety.
It's
Yeah, I don't
opening
know.
weekend, quote unquote, like 2 days. It made $2 million, which is very, very
Wow.
But again, this is also in selected theaters. It's not every theater, and it's only like
Yeah.
showing once or twice a day.
good. Yeah.
So-
You get the English dub and then the sub, and then you have 2 times for it. So like
And then
4
they're
airings.
extending showings, right?
Yeah. So you could say it's doing fairly well.
Yep.
Especially for an anime movie, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so-
And I think this
Gross.
movie deserves those sales, personally.
Exactly. I'm 100% behind you on.
So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Let's talk about this movie here. So first off, for those, okay, we're gonna go into spoilers in all this one because I think with the movies we're just gonna go straight into spoilers because it's only like 1 hour and a half, and I don't want to go through the non-spoiler to spoilers. So sorry if you guys don't want to be spoiled. Go watch the movie because we're about to talk about everything. So first and foremost, this movie, you have to understand, it is not canon. It does take place in a time frame that it could be canon.
90%. 90% of all anime movies are non-canon. 90%.
Yeah, so this isn't like Naruto the Last. Like, this is actually like not canon.
Yeah,
But I
so
feel
this
it could have been like it. I really liked a lot of the characters they introduced. I wish it was canon.
Yeah, but just letting people know, 90% of
Yeah.
anime movies are just what if stories. So don't be like,
Yeah.
oh, but he could do this. Why are you like, shut up?
I think was Pokemon wasn't the only canon movie the 2000 movie or
Yes, well, technically yes, because he does reference him meeting Lugia. So I don't know how.
He does reference the
Ah.
girl too, doesn't he? At one point.
Yes, he does. So it's
anyway,
weird
that's
with
right.
Pokemon though. So it doesn't matter.
so yeah,
but-
it's just really rare.
But that's neither here nor there. Let's go into My Hero Academia. So the beginning of this movie was probably the most epic thing I've ever seen. Like they take you to, I think it's Las Vegas or California, I can't remember. And
It's Vegas, and then
It is
it looks like
Vegas.
it goes to New York, and then it. I don't know. The
but anyway, like
inconsistencies
you
are
see
there.
these villains come and they rob a bank, and then you see All Might come, and he makes his entrance so huge, and he seemed like with this suit that you've never seen before. And probably the weirdest part of the movie, or if any of all this movie was in the flashbacks, you see his eyes. It is just so weird. He looks like
eyeballs.
it's so bright, bright blue eyes. And it's
Gross.
funny because it doesn't. This is the first time I've ever seen him like that. Because all the other times before in the anime, whenever he goes into his muscular form, you don't see his eye. They're like all blackened out. But in this one, like it's all blue and it
You can
fits.
see
It
where
fits
it
the
is. He
it
has
fits the image.
eyeballs.
I'll say that much. It fits
He's a
his
good-looking
image.
man. He's a good-looking man.
He's a
Yeah.
handsome man.
And the animation
He's-
on that was amazing on that.
Yes.
Top notch.
And
What was the
that's-
name of his psychic, the doctor?
It's David Shield.
Yeah, how they got along was awesome. Like they were such a Batman and Robin duo. I loved
They were
it.
like a brother. They were like a brother thing. I like.
Yeah, kind of brotherish, I'd say. Yeah, but it was great dynamics that they showed between. I mean, I think some of my favorite parts of the whole movie was just showing the past. I thought that was awesome because All Might's one of my favorite characters, and he hasn't really changed much.
Nope, he's always been happy.
Always putting a smile on your face.
What's funny though is that they portrayed, well, not that they portrayed it, but in this flashback he was still in school and so was David, and like they're like, we gotta go to this seminar, and like he was doing like a study abroad thing. It was just funny.
Yeah.
Like he's still like a hero in training at that point, but he's like I think he's like almost fully controlled his power at that time.
Well, from what I recall, is in the anime. There, I think he said, didn't he take to it pretty naturally?
I think so, but I think it's taking Midoriya a lot longer to do. But for him, I think it took less time.
I like that though, so it's good.
But and then so the movie starts, and well, I won't go through all of the details, but the movie's basically it starts where All Might has been invited to this island where like all the top scientists live, and where they develop new tech, new suits, new whatever it is for heroes. And he's gonna go over there because there's like this expo that's gonna show all this new stuff, and he also wants to go see his old sidekick, which is David. And so all the movie takes place on this island, and that's where like the villain comes in, and where all the students come in, which we'll talk about in just a little bit about the students, because I had a problem with that, but that was just me. So let's go from there. So on the island, we meet Melissa Shield, who is the blonde hottie that you see in the posters.
A hottie high with a naughty body.
Dude, I hope that the mangaka is like, I like her design. You're in, and makes her canon, and makes her like the sidekick, or like the main like person who does like Midoriya's costume, because that'd be awesome.
That's what I was thinking.
Their chemistry in the movie was amazing.
Well, just her character and the girls they added to her, she became one of my favorite characters in the whole damn lore, and she's not even canon. Like, I absolutely adored her at the end of the show, at the end of the movie. I was like really disappointed to see her not going to be continuing, and I agree, the mangaka needs to add her. I mean, she was a win for me.
That's true, and everything about her, like her introduction. Like at first when she was introduced, I thought that was her quirk, like was making things, because she comes in with what's it called, with like this little bungee, or like this pogo stick type looking thing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, did she just materialize stuff? I was like, what? But then we find out that no, she just makes all these little gadgets things, because you find out later in the movie that she's actually quirkless, just like Midoriya was.
One thing I want to touch on that before I forget real quick. When you say that something like the Harry Potter world, right? Like you have like the Muggles and then the Wizardy world and stuff, and sometimes I know some people have problems with certain writing structures where it almost makes like the normals kind of like the weaker, or like kind of the boring part. Which in this one I was kind of saying the same thing. It's like you don't have a quirk, like the normals just kind of seem pointless, and it kind of ruins some of that. But what I liked about this with Melissa was it showed that even the normals can be helping and be just as efficient and as needed in the world. They don't have a quirk, and I really like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
no,
I
that makes
understand.
sense.
Well, because
it's
showing that she may not be super, but she is super in her own way.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest parts is when she's showing Deku, all the little gadgets and cars and all that, and then you have Uraraku's in the back. He's like, oh, you're hanging out with this girl and flirting with it. And she like loses it. She like goes into like her like this zombie mode, not paying attention to anyone. It was the funniest thing.
Can I say the Bakugo is one of the funniest? This is one of the most funniest showcase scenes he's ever had.
Yes.
It's also the most Vegeta-ish that he reminded me of. Just the way that he is. The reason being is, which you're kind of jumping from here and there, but at the very end of the movie, when like Deku is looking at like at Uraraka, Ida, and all them that are on the bottom of the little hill that he's on, you see Bakugo like away from them with his back turned, and kind of does like this little like scoff and like moves his face away, just like Vegeta would in like any of the movies or whatever you see in the anime. I was busted up laughing right there. I was like, they're taking that from Dragon Ball. I love it.
Well, I like too that as angry as he was, like as usual, he was very team oriented, even if he didn't say it out loud. It's crazy how much he supported his friends. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, his tag team
he was
fight.
super team play in this movie.
Oh, his tag team fight with Todoroki, when they fought those two goons, I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. This is awesome.
Yes, him and Todoroki just killed it together as a team.
I really wish they would team up. I honestly think those two would destroy any team. Hands down.
I agree.
They remind me of like a Naruto Sasuke dynamic when they fight. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, just awesome. And as good as the movie was, like again, there's always just some shortcomings of it.
The beginning,
The beginning was really slow.
very slow.
The one thing that I didn't like, and they do this with tons of anime movies, like you'll see it, is the people that are involved, how they become involved. So like when I watched the trailer for the movie, I was under the impression that the entire school was invited to this island because you saw everyone in the trailer was there.
I did.
But you go to the movie and it's just Midoriya who was invited by All Might, and then like everyone else just got invited and just coincidentally were all there because of connections or I was like, that part kind of got to me, not like too much, but I was like, they could have. I would thought it would be better if they just said the school just would let them go to that. But I think Mr. put up a good point that if we did, then we'd have to show everyone, and it might have been longer with having everyone involved because all the students would be there. Because I think which ones weren't there in the movie?
The guy with the belly button.
Oh, the guy with the long face. What's his weird face? What's his name? He's like the shy guy.
No, he was there.
Oh, what's his name? One of the girls wasn't there too. Who was it?
Everyone.
Gosh, I can't even remember.
All of them were there except for the French dude.
Aoyama?
Yeah, Aoyama wasn't there.
I swear I
he
saw him
he
in
made
there.
an appearance, maybe, but
They made an appearance, but they weren't there like on the island. They were.
No, they were on the island. They just
were they?
weren't fighting. They were just sitting in the hotel room. The Invisible Girl, as the girl and Sue were there, but they were just sitting in the hotel room. Same with the tape guy and the guy who talks to animals.
You should learn their names.
I forget it. Shut up.
So we have Sue, and then Ashido is the girl with the acid, and then we had Toru Hagakure, which is the invisible girl.
Yeah.
They were stuck, like they had nothing to do with the plot. They were just kind of there just to say, oh, we're there, we're in the
maybe
movie.
like fan service in the sense of like, hey, your character's still in this movie, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah, it just I mean, it's one of those anime movies kind of has some really bad writing on like kind of those character building setups. I mean, it took a while. I mean, don't get me wrong, they executed it. It just took a very long time. That was kind of the downfall for me, is like the intro, like some of the scenes of how they did character development, I feel could have been done better.
Mhm.
But once the character development was done, you really cared emotionally about like the characters, like about Melissa and her dad and stuff, and I really like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like that they used some heroes that we don't see much of or that get a lot of focus. So one of them was Earphone Jack. So what's her name?
Yes.
Jiro Kyoka. She doesn't get much spotlight in the anime. Maybe like one or two times. In the first season, probably she got the most like spotlight on her. But ever since then, she doesn't get much. In this movie, she played like actually a pretty big part in the movie. You know, getting information.
She was very important.
And I love that how they use her, because he's like, you know, you're expecting, you know, Bakugo, Ida, Uraraka, Momo. Like, you expected those ones, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like, I'm glad they're using her.
Yeah.
Well, I really liked it, like they showed the usefulness. Like, not everybody, right? And like the villains were even saying like they have to have somebody that can hear us like through the walls or detect us somehow. And like like even they know like it's not always about the most powerful quirk. Like stuff like that was very, very needed and very important in the show.
Right.
Or the movie, sorry, but yeah.
And I liked how they kind of had this little twist in there, a twist within a twist as well in the movie.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because you know, you see this whole thing about David knowing about, you know, All Might not being able to stay in his, you know, muscular form, but not knowing the reasons why.
Yes.
And you see like this
that was
whole
tough.
Yeah, and you see this whole thing where he wants to preserve All Might as a symbol of peace so badly that he's willing to stage a hijack or what you can call it on the island just so that he can get his
stolen tech.
His tech, so that All Might can keep his form forever.
Doesn't that tech like amplify the power to like double or something like that?
Yeah, technically if he had that, he stated that All Might would be even stronger than what he was in his prime. And then
which
the
is insane to think too.
Yeah, and then the twist on that was that the villains who they were supposed to be just actors were actual villains, and that the that the assistant Sam was wanting to be a scientist and be known for his work, and he was like upset with David that he, basically gave up on that.
See, and I like that twist because most shonens, it would have just been the twist, right? Oh, there's a bad guy, All Might was betrayed by his best friend, typical, and now he's a villain. But in this one, he wasn't even trying to be a villain. Like, he had a dark motive, but it was for the greater good, and he wasn't really trying to, he didn't know those were real bad guys. Like, that was not a twist I would be expecting from a shonen, and I really loved that.
Yeah, because a lot of people were thinking, like, oh, David is the real bad guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe.
He was more.
But most shonens, that would be true, right?
He was more of a victim. That's what I liked. It was like he was manipulated to be a bad guy, but in the end, he was just a victim.
Yeah.
Right.
I really, really enjoyed that. But anyway, yeah.
I will say though the actual villain, wasn't much to. There was much to be desired of him.
There was no, yeah. But the thing is, I was okay with him not being a real villain, not having a real villain, because it was a sense of the heroes building themselves up, showing that what the class can do to overcome this situation, and just things like that. That's what I was okay with.
He became, to me, though, the last villain. I kind of agree with this David there. Is that the villain to me kind of felt like the typical Marvel villain we get a lot of times that are kind of underdeveloped. He kind of made me like the first Thor movies type of villain. Like he was there to add enough power just for the main characters to fight, make some cool scenes, but couldn't tell you his name. Couldn't really tell you really what he wanted besides just attack. But I don't know. I mean, he was good just for a shonen beat up. Let's put it that way.
I think the thing that got me, that I didn't like, was they put a connection to his name was hard. I had to find his name because I think I heard it once. It's Wolfram.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't recall that name at all.
But like they try to make a connection to.
They said it like once or twice. Yeah. All.
But he made a connection to All for One. Like All for One told him, hey, he told me I should fight you or do so, whatever it was. I can't remember, but I was like, that wasn't needed. Like, they tried to add another layer or try to make a connection to All for One, and it just, to me, it fell through. I was like, I don't.
It felt forced.
Yeah, it's like you don't.
I thought that was
ever.
cheesy. Yeah, there was no reason for that. It was just to add like a shock value or what I think. Oh my god.
You're cutting
This is legit now.
Oh, there you go. You're here.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, but you're fine. So, yeah, I mean that was probably like all the negative parts I had to it, but again, like this movie like showed you, gave you fan service in
yes.
like Mr. Smith said, in the sense that we got to see something that we will never see in the anime. At least I don't think we ever will.
Well, we won't get to see. Well, no, we'll get to see in the anime. No, not in the anime ever. But we'll get to see certain clips of it in the anime, in the sense of like, so Deku gets to go all out with his quirk with.
That's not what I was talking about. But
and then the final punch, yeah.
Yeah. So the climactic end was awesome because, in season 3, I think what they tried to do music wise is they tried to, introduce different music for like the epic moments, because in season 1 and 2 they had the song "You Say Run," which once you heard it, you're like, oh, something big's gonna happen. You heard it when Alma was fighting Nomu, when Todoroki was fighting Midoriya. Like you heard the sound, the music, you're like, yeah, something big's happening right now. And in season 3 they actually went away from that, and I thought that was a good move. But they introduced the song "You Say Run" again into the final punch,
and it was perfect because you kind of felt like when you're watching season 3, you kind of don't really hear that anymore, like you were saying. So when you hear that, you just get all the nostalgia of season 1, and that's what I loved about it.
The poses was awesome because like the Wolfram, he's like powered up with that little gadget that makes his quirk like 100 times whatever stronger, and he's like all this metal around him, and you have Midoriya, who Melissa gave him this little it looks like I call it the gauntlet. But it's like it's like a little wrap.
Worked for me.
That makes him like he'll be able to use all of his power, support his arm without breaking his hand. Because she noticed like the scars on his hands, saying like it looks like your body can't withstand the power that you have. And so you see like this final move that Midoriya is gonna go all out with all of his power, and then you see All Might go, and they're gonna punch this guy at the same time. The pose on that was hilarious because you see, Midori normal, like he's, cocking back his fist about to punch, and then you see All Might, and he is there like in a pose pose like in underwear, like just flying through. It's just the funniest thing, and then they hit him.
What I liked about this movie is they made All Might more of a superhero in the U.S. traditional sense. Like, I'm here,
Yeah,
or
I
like,
can see that.
and I loved
I
it
can see
because
that
it was
too.
a very different pace for All Might. It's like, I'm here, I'll sign autographs. I'm the superhero. And then when he does his final punch and stuff like that, he made a very superhero-esque thing, and I loved it.
I agree with that. He really cares about the fans and the people and everything. Like, he's a true embodiment of like a Western superhero.
Yeah,
Let's not.
and I think sorry about that, but I think for this movie they made it more like he's a Western superhero.
Yeah, I see that. Let's not forget the real hero. The true reason we saw this movie was for Godzilla.
Oh my gay.
That was the
funny.
funniest thing. I was like, why is Godzilla? Is he yeah, his name is Godzilla. He's a hero.
Godzilla.
Like, what?
That was
That was
great.
And the ending was actually pretty cool. Like after the end credits, because you see like the students of UA having a barbecue, and
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
you see the repercussions of David, because he did do something bad. He put the entire city, the island, on alert just to get his stolen tech back. And you see him in the hospital with Melissa, and he's surrounded by, or at least the cops were like in the outside of the room, and so it's showing that he's gonna get punished for what he did. And so
Yeah.
I like that little tidbit just because they added that there was actual consequences to the actions. They didn't pardon him because of his reasons why he did it. They're like, no, you still broke the law, and we're gonna have to, take you into custody, whatever. So I like that they're keeping it, realistic.
Realistic to that point, yeah.
Yeah, they're giving.
That-
It's not like
Yeah.
the movie trope where it's like, okay, everything is good at the very end and there's no more repercussions like Marvel movies, or the first wave of Marvel movies was like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. The final punch though of Deku and All Might though, that, I mean, my inner childhood was just going nuts. I felt like a 5-year-old watching Power Rangers, and like, Tommy brings out the like freaking dragon dagger or whatever for the first time. I was flipping out.
I will say I was kind of upset, and I think some of us were, where if you saw the previews or the ads for the movie, you see a picture or a promotional a picture where you see Bakugo dancing with Uraraka, and you see Todoroki dancing with Momo, but that never happens because they never get to the party. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting.
I was like, why would they put that in there if they were never meant to be in that ballroom? Because in the
Promo
movie,
footage.
it gets all like, sectioned off, and so if they were in there, they would have never been able to help All Might. So that was just kind of a big misleading thing. I was like, I would have liked to see him dance, because it just would have been hilarious. Because I could just imagine it. It'd be like Melissa asked Midori to dance, and Uraraka's like kind of upset, and Bakugo for being, like whatever, he like takes her out to dance because that's what he thinks she wanted anyway. I don't know, but I wish it was in there.
You're fanboying.
Yeah, of course. But then again, if they were in there, it wouldn't make sense how they got out, because they would have been stopped by the terrorists, so there would have been no movie. So I don't know.
True.
So
Fair enough.
what? So our final ratings. What do you give this movie? How many Chibis?
Ooh, I give it a 9. I just have to dock a point for the slow intro.
Okay.
8.5, 9, 8.5. I'll keep it 8.5.
It's definitely one I'll be buying. I think it's buying
definitely
worth.
buy it. Yeah, I'm definitely want to buy it.
Mine's a solid 8.
Solid 8.
Mhm.
All right.
It's like almost the opposite of the season 3, but that's funny.
Not too much. I think we've got to average about an 8 on season 3 in the movie. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree.
So, yep. Let us know what you think about the movie, whether you liked it or not. What was your favorite part? If
Yes.
you want to check us out, Mr. Missa will tell you where you can find us.
You can find us on facebook.com/Chibi Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Chibi Podcast. You can find us on a Twitter account that's not being used at Chibi Podcast, capital N, capital C, capital N, capital P. And yeah.
Not being used currently.
We'll be using it anyway. This is David the Smash Man,
Mr.
Imagiteka.
and this is Chibino Podcast.
Yeah.